to send every piece of apparatus that you have in Manhattan. An airplane just crashed into the World Trade Center, and it's on fire.
All units can respond.
For all his experience, Henshu had never seen anything like this. But as ambulances and fire trucks raced to the scene, he instinctively just followed one of them, like he'd done hundreds of times before.
I tucked onto their rear bumper, watching the firefighters as they were putting on their air tanks, pulling tools and equipment from the racks. And I remember two of the guys waving to me out the back. I guess they recognized me from covering them for years.
Looking away that moment at the fire, he didn't actually take a picture of those waving firefighters, but he did in his mind. Within 3 or 4 minutes, Henshu got to the scene.
But nothing prepared me for what I would see when I walked down West Street.
What did you see?
There were body parts, there were aircraft parts, there was debris raining down, and then people started jumping.
Were you taking pictures at this point?
Yep.
He says he'll never show anyone those photos. These are the ones he wants people to see. The office workers, the rescuers. They're among the first news photos taken at ground level, taken before the second plane hit.
I did not see the second aircraft hit the tower, although I was standing right in front of it.
Yet he recorded these horrific images taken directly beneath the tower the instant the plane crashed through.
I realized that debris falling from that height could kill you. I spent a lot of time looking up, watching out for stuff coming down, and there was a lot of stuff raining down.
At what point did you sense that you were in danger?
Never.
Never.
Never. Until hearing the noise and looking up and seeing the towers start to disintegrate.
Less than an hour after arriving at the scene, the unthinkable. This is video taken by a Dateline producer from a few blocks away. Henshu was even closer, directly beneath the collapsing tower.
I started bringing my camera up. Something in the back of my mind said, run, run, run. And I ran like hell.
But hell caught up with him and picked Henshu off the ground.
Airborne. I'm just airborne. I am just swept off my feet by a tornado of hot wind, of flying debris.
In the black, swirling wreckage, he was thrown under a vehicle, hitting his head and smashing his leg.
And I'm trying to breathe, but every time I try inhaling, I get more and more debris going further into my nose and my mouth.
He thought this is what it's like to die, and he was blinded by the debris and the loss of his glasses. He reached for his cell phone.
Because I really thought I was dying, and I did not want to die face down in the gutter in New York City without calling home and leaving a message.
But his cell phone was gone. He couldn't call his wife to say goodbye.
I had no idea where I was or what had happened. I tried moving my legs, and one of them wasn't working. And then I started calling for help.
Trapped under the vehicle, he could barely get enough air to cry out.
And I was yelling, help me, please. And I don't know how long I was yelling for help. But I heard some words that I will never forget. And I knew that I was okay. That was, don't worry, brother, we'll get you out. And there were a couple of firemen who dug me out from underneath everything.
People whose jobs you have covered for many, many years grabbed you.
The firefighters carried Henshu in agonizing pain to a deli a few blocks away. And this is what he looked like, taken by another Daily News photographer. The man who had taken so many pictures of others was now the subject of this chilling photo, a survivor from a modern-day Pompeii.
I didn't realize what I looked like until I saw that picture.
And what'd you think?
Damn, I'm lucky. I was so lucky.
And then the next horror, the second tower collapsed.
I don't know if debris landed in front of the deli or if the facade came down or part of the building collapsed, but it's like night again, and we're trapped again.
But a small band of brothers, policemen and firemen, ripped a path through the rubble and carried Hanshu out again, carried him to a boat leaving for a hospital in New Jersey.
It was like a scene out of ER. Back doors open, I come out on a stretcher, realizing I can't see really anything without my glasses, but I saw shapes, and all I heard was, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Like, this is not terribly reassuring.
After surgery to insert a titanium rod and intensive physical therapy for his badly broken right leg, Hanshu is now on the road to recovery. Just days after the atrocity at the World Trade Center, he was carried by an ambulance team to the funeral for one of his fallen brothers. To this day, he's haunted by a picture that wasn't taken of those waving firefighters.
I believe most of the firefighters who were on the rescue company that I followed down there that morning did not survive the World Trade Center attack.
He grieves for the brave firefighters he'll never see again, and in all of the ones who came to his aid.
Are there words to express the gratitude to the policemen and firemen who pulled you out of there?
No, I need to put my arms around the shoulders and my head down on their shoulder. Thank you doesn't begin to describe the gratitude to the people who saved my life.
Later on Dateline, from ground zero to the ground war, elite troops inside enemy territory.
The mission overall was successful. We accomplished our objectives.
The latest details and pictures of America's new combat mission. Coming up, it is a scene we'll never forget, shot by a doctor who tried to help.
That building coming down is the most evil thing that's ever been seen. It was just a big, black, expanding cloud of evil.
But he was also about to witness some astonishing goodness when Witness to Terror continues. Changes. All new friends on NBC. Here now is Stone Phillips.
Within minutes of the attack on the World Trade Center, a call went out citywide for doctors, nurses, anyone with medical training to stand by for the injured. The doctor you're about to meet did more than that. He headed for ground zero, and he went there with a camera, capturing pictures we will never forget. Ashley Banfield has his story.
At this point, as you can tell,
it does appear that there has been a third explosion in the area of the World Trade Center.
Like everyone, mesmerized by what they saw on television, that day the world changed. Sitting at home, Dr. Mark Heath thought he had seen the worst of it. He was wrong.
It was when the first building came down. I put on the scrubs, grabbed my stuff, went down to the West Side Highway. There were ambulances coming by every 20 seconds. I held up my hand, the first one stopped, and I hopped in. They took me down there.
Down there was 2 blocks north of the World Trade Center, where Dr. Heath was stopped by rescue officials.
You want me to wait right here? Okay.
Multiple spots. And stay away from any other high-rise building. Okay.
Dr. Mark Heath, a cardiac anesthesiologist at New York's Columbia Presbyterian Hospital, says he never leaves home without his video camera. This day was no exception.
You started rolling tape.
It's strange. The times when I was rolling tape is when there just wasn't anything else to do, and I think it helps with the frustration of believing that there were enormous numbers of people who were injured and not knowing where they were or how to help them.
And the camera was rolling when, to everyone's horror, all 110 stories of the second tower began to crumble. As a mushroom cloud sent smoke, debris, and soot barreling down on Dr. Heath, he captured this video seen around the world. It is a startling eyewitness view of what it was like to be in it.
I hope I live. I hope I live. It's coming down on me. Here it comes. I'm getting behind a car.
This pool of blackness actually runs much longer than the edited version seen on television.
I'm sorry I came down. I just had to help you, but I should have known a second moment ago.
That building coming down is the most evil thing that's ever been seen. It was just a big, black, expanding cloud of evil.
At what point did you think that you might die?
When the cloud was coming towards me, I thought I might die. When I opened my eyes and it was pitch black, I was all by myself. I couldn't hear anything or see anything. I thought I was going to die.
But then you changed what you were saying almost apologetically to say, I'm sorry I came down here. I thought I could help people.
I truly wish that I hadn't gone down. I felt I had made a mistake, and that I'd gone down, I hadn't helped anybody, and I just added myself to the casualty list. So I'm saying to Leah, I'm sorry that I did this, and I was.
Heath, his wife Leah, and their family had stood on top of the World Trade Center just 1 week earlier. He thought those words on the videotape might be his last to her.
I wondered how you stayed calm enough to narrate what you were seeing.
I think it's probably what kept me calm. Maybe that's why I was doing it, is it made me feel like my wife and family were there with me.
I'm breathing through my scrub shirt. I'm spitting out gobs of soot.
It's a terrible experience to have your eyes open and to know that it's broad daylight and that you can't see anything.
You know, I can see a tiny bit. This is incredible. Okay, I had to go find people who need help. I don't think I'm one of them. You okay, sir? Okay. Can I just get a toot off your respirator? Can I get a toot? I'm just in a couple of clean breaths. That's good. Okay. Back to you.
That helped a lot because it allowed me to take a deep breath. But I also feel strange about that because I'd gone down to help. And then there I was, getting in the way for that moment.
But that would be the last time Dr. Heath would feel he was getting in the way.
Anybody need a doctor?
Hello, Doc.
Hey, that guy needs some oxygen if someone can share it with him.
10-4.
Thanks. There's all these noises. I don't know what it is. They say someone needs help.
Amid the coughing and wheezing, there was a constant whistling and chirping sound. Dr. Heath had no idea what it was.
That is probably the eeriest part of it.
John Weldon, a carpenter and volunteer firefighter, immediately recognized the sound. He too would rush into the devastation that day with a passion to help. Weldon knew the sound was the alarms that firefighters wear to help find them in a disaster, built into those red strobe patches on their shoulders. They go off automatically if a firefighter doesn't move after 30 seconds.
And knowing that a lot of brother firefighters had perished, and the sounds we were hearing was a testament of that.
Earlier that morning, Weldon and another carpenter, Dennis Gimblett, an ex-Marine, had watched the carnage unfold from the roof of their construction site in Midtown.
We just seen a massive explosion, just orange. And we were like, no, no, no. And then I turned to Dennis, I says, I'm out of here, I gotta go. And he says, I'm going with you.
Like Dr. Heath, the two carpenters, both of whom had taken first aid training, went down to the World Trade Center to help. By the time they arrived at that 1 square mile of hell, the first tower had already fallen, and hundreds of firemen and police officers were among the dead.
Prior to this, we passed firemen and cops every day, and we didn't give them a second thought. They were just part of the background of New York City. And I'll never take those people for granted again. They were heroes before this, and they're even more so heroes now. It was a real bad day.
Bad, but Gimblett had no idea how much worse it would get. Like the doctor, they were just a few blocks away when the second tower collapsed, and they too ran for their lives. When the smoke cleared, a firefighter gave them a stretcher and some first aid equipment. That's when Dr. Heath saw them and captured the moment on videotape.
You guys going in? Yep. Come with you.
This part of the tape shows what happened when blue collar met blue scrubs in the rubble and became a team.
Like ghosts coming at you. When Mark showed up, he looked like that.
Yeah.
He was covered, head to toe.
But I don't want to get too much closer, because the more buildings that come down, then we're not going to help anybody. All right.
I think Mark had said, we don't want to be a statistic here, you know, which was smart on his behalf. That's when we seen bodies, a lot of other carnage.
We just heard another explosion. The consensus is it's too unsafe to go in there. Gonna wait here until they bring some people out. You know what? Why don't we just set this up as a little mobile hospital unit right here, okay?
In the confusion, the three men were told the Staten Island ferry terminal, a half-mile away, had been set up as a triage center.
So they have hurt people over there?
So they hitched a ride with an ambulance. But when they got there, nothing had been set up yet.
We were told that's where the triage center was. We got there was nothing there. We didn't know if we should set up inside or outside or what to do.
Who decided that there would be a triage center there?
Mark said we're going to set it up here.
With work to do, setting up a triage center, Mark turned off his camera. Hours later, he turned it back on to show dozens of volunteers had created a makeshift MASH unit.
Put the IVs up.
That tape has one view of the building coming down. It also misses a large part of the chronicle, and in that way it fails. It doesn't show New York at its finest when there are hundreds of people working together.
It also doesn't show the disappointment Heath and the others felt when they were told there would be few, if any, survivors coming.
We thought we were going to be dealing with thousands of people, hundreds of people coming in. Nobody was coming in.
We expected a wave and we got a ripple. And the whole world's turned upside down. And as much bad as was done on that day, it's shaken up even more good.
1 week later, the three men met for the first time since this tragedy struck. John and Dennis wanting to see the doctor's tape. For anyone caught in the cloud of evil that day, including me, the tape fills you with a sense of being there all over again. And that's not easy to watch.
I'm just stuck for words.
It's a very grim picture of the reality of what was a very grim situation.
Do not let the tape become your memory of it, because it's only a small part of all the things that happened down there.
Yeah.
The three men have gone back to work now, one at a hospital, the other two to build and perhaps rebuild.
We consider the New York skyline our own. We build the concrete canyons that make this city what it is. You can't let these people take something from us as a city and a nation. And if they can envision it, we'll build it. I can promise you that here.
Twice as fast.
And twice as good.
Still ahead, he stood by his friend to the very end.
I said to them, I'll go get a fireman. Abe said, you go, Irma. I'll stay.
The ultimate sacrifice and a friendship that withstood the unthinkable when Witness to Terror continues.
NBC Nightly News Monday.
If you could call it that, they were the lucky ones, those terror-stricken people we saw running for their lives from the World Trade Center. They got out. What we couldn't see but can only imagine was the chaos inside, the tearful phone calls to loved ones, the catastrophic loss. With that in mind, tonight we have a story about one man who chose to stay behind. Here's Edie Magnus.
On this day when thousands of people, friends and co-workers were forced to say goodbye, this is the story of two men who didn't. Two men different in so many ways, who shared an uncommon devotion to one another. Ed B.A., 42, a Catholic from a small town in upstate New York, paralyzed from the neck down since a freak diving accident when he was 22. Ed's mother, Janet.
Oh, he was a wonderful son. Always smiled, always happy. And he always said he would beat this being paralyzed. And he did beat it to the point he could get a job and be almost normal.
Normal life for Ed was working as a computer programmer at Blue Cross Blue Shield. That's where he met fellow programmer Abe Zelmanowitz, 55, an Orthodox Jew from Brooklyn.
He'd say to me quite often, Abe is a mensch.
Ed's nephew, Sean.
Ed had learned the word mensch.
Yeah, I wasn't sure what it meant initially, but what Abe did, I can certainly attest to the fact that he is a mensch, a real stand-up guy.
The stand-up guy and his wheelchair-bound co-worker had been the best of friends for 12 years. No one could imagine how their friendship would be tested. Tuesday morning, September 11th, began like any other, Abe's brother Jack recalls, except for one small moment that now both comforts and haunts him.
Usually we say, Abe, see ya. He goes to work, we shake hands. Something happens. That day, we hugged each other tight. I can't believe it. I don't know what made us do it. And we just hugged each other tight. And we said goodbye.
For Ed, it began as just another morning. He arrived at work on the 27th floor of Tower 1 of the World Trade Center around 8:30 a.m., accompanied by his caretaker, Irma Fuller. On that morning, they were thinking not about terrorism, but about breakfast. Irma had gone up to get it on the 43rd floor, stopping to wash her hands.
As soon as I walked into the bathroom, there was boom. There was noise. There was things dropping. There were people running.
Irma also ran back down to the 27th floor, where she found Ed in the stairwell, not alone, but with his friend Abe by his side. People streamed by them, rushing down the stairs. One man stopped.
A man came down and said, can I help you? Ed said no. So then it dawned on me that Ed is not going to go down there, let somebody just take him down there. He's not going to do that.
Why
He's
not?
afraid. He's afraid that they will drop him. He's a big man.
At almost 300 pounds and over 6 feet tall and hooked up to medical equipment, Ed could not be easily moved.
They told me to go. And I said to them, I'll go get a fireman. I'll go get the fireman. Abe said, you go, Irma. I'll stay.
And why did Abe stay with him?
Best friends. Best friends.
And that's how she left these best friends together, waiting. She remembers sending first a firefighter and then a rescue worker up to help them before being pushed along with the masses moving down and out of the building. By now, Abe's brother Jack was watching the horror unfold on television. His phone rang. It was Abe.
I said, get out of there. He says, don't worry, I'm getting. I said, don't wait, go, go. He says, Ed is here. I said, okay, get somebody and get out. He says, okay, okay, okay. He hung up, just like that. I took for granted that meant that he's going to get Ed and they were going to somehow go down.
But it wasn't that simple. Minutes later, Abe called his sister-in-law, Evelyn, and told her they were with a firefighter.
I said, why are you still there? I thought you were on your way home. You've got to get out of the building. He says, well, I'm here with Ed. He said Ed's stubborn, that he was waiting. Obviously, now I hear what it was. He was afraid. And they didn't think they were in imminent danger, obviously.
And Ed's family believes he may also have been reluctant to be moved for fear of blocking the way of others trying to get out.
If there are many, many people on those steps, I know my brother is going to say, you let them go first.
And there's one other thing Pam is sure her brother must have said in that smoky stairway.
In my heart of hearts, I know that he told Abe to leave.
Yes.
But Abe would not leave.
But the two men may have moved together down 6 flights. That's what Ed's mother remembers him saying when he called her.
What did he say?
Mom, I'm all right. And I said, where are you? Thinking, he's out on the street or something. And he said, the 21st floor. And then he said, Mom, I'm all right. And the phone just went dead.
Janet then called her daughter Pam at the school where she taught. with what she thought was the good news.
I'm up and down the hall telling everybody he's okay. We were so happy, and I step out to the hall and my cell phone rings again. And it's my son, Sean, and he said, "Mom, have you watched?" And I said, "No," and then he says, "Well, one of the towers collapsed." And then he said, "Wait a minute, Mom." He came back and he said, the second tower had gone.
Abe and Ed's families getting together for the first time since the attacks all know that Abe, of course, had plenty of time to leave and to live. Instead, he stayed, and by his death, they believe, taught the world something about life and friendship.
At a time when people are capable of such depravity, that such a genuine act of compassion for one's fellow man shines through, and that's really what we're all about and what humanity is all about.
The next morning when I woke up, I cried that my friends were gone. But they're in heaven now. God bless them. Two good guys together.
Coming up, they rushed in, ignoring the danger, to capture the chaos as the debris still swirled.
The cloud caught me and threw me across the street into a car. I was so lucky, so much luckier than so many other people.
When Witness to Terror continues. This Sunday.
Among those who were there when the Twin Towers collapsed were several Dateline staff members, some of whom put themselves in danger to capture those moments of mayhem. Tonight, a look through the lens as they saw it, their own stories in their own words.
My wife and I were walking this morning to the subway when suddenly we see a lot of people looking and saying a plane hit the World Trade Center. I ran home, grabbed my NBC News camera, so I'm filming, and suddenly
a second tower just exploded.
the second explosion happens. And then it's obvious that it's a different story, that it's a totally different ballgame.
You saw the second one from NBC News. What happened? I saw a tourist with a video camera, so I said, let me buy that from you. I was able to sort of get near the place before they really sort of closed it down. I took a shot of a huge wheel of a plane lying in the middle of the avenue. I shot a couple of shots of the building burning. I was shooting the building, and the building started to collapse, and that happens pretty slowly. The cloud caught me and threw me across the street into a car. I had literally a mouthful of soot. You couldn't see. It was just... And then people were just remarkable, I mean, everyone was just in a horrible, horrible place. You couldn't see. Everyone was hurt. I mean, I was so lucky, so much luckier than so many other people.
My brother-in-law is a lieutenant in the fire department. I was in the firehouse. I had no idea if I would be able to get down to ground zero. About 7 o'clock, we got the call to go in. So as we were going down the streets of the city, the military and the operation became more serious the more we moved down. You could just feel and see how serious this all was as you're moving down on the bus.
We have 7 missing so far, and that's all we can say right now is that they're missing.
I was with the heroes.
We're out here, buddy. We're okay.
They were going down, and I was going right with them, and I was just in disbelief what I was seeing. And it was just gray and black buildings, bombed out buildings. I wanted to get this for history. I wanted to document this because this was amazing.
I called up this one hospital, NYU Downtown Medical Center, and then they really opened up and they just kind of let us free reign around the ICU and meeting nurses, meeting doctors, porters, everybody. The reason we wanted to get in there was we just wanted to put a human face on all these people that We see the blue scrubs, the green scrubs, they're working hard, they're running, and they just allowed us to be a fly in the wall with our one handheld camera to follow them.
This is in every way comparable to a war zone and to a battlefield.
I've been running, bringing bodies back, bringing them to the triage unit. We didn't bring anybody back alive.
The first room I walked into, you hear the beep of the monitor.
Basically disconnecting the facial bone with the rest of the craniofacial skeleton.
I looked over, I really didn't want to look very closely, and one man's head was just, I described it as almost a bowl of jelly. There was no facial structure there. Apparently he had, I guess the skin had separated from the skeleton. I mean, it was a horrible, horrible injury. I think that's when it really hit home for me. I just was so impressed by the people. This was a real microcosm of New York, you know. Blacks, whites, Chinese, Indians. I mean, everybody that makes this city a great city was working their butts off at night to save people.
Coming up, when more than 100 floors came tumbling down, he was still standing.
So many thoughts go through your mind. You go from, please, make it quick, to I'm not gonna die. I'm gonna go home, I'm gonna see my wife, I'm gonna see my kids.
An emotional tale of survival when witnessed to TV station. Here again is Jane Pauley.
Even as we watched the towers collapse, 100 stories, 100,000 tons of steel, there were still people in there who had a chance. One of them you'll meet now tells Edie Magnus an incredible story of survival. Ironically, his job was protecting the World Trade Center.
David Lim reported for duty in his basement office of the World Trade Center at 6 a.m. that Tuesday. 45, married and the father of 2. He'd been helping to eliminate threats to the Twin Towers for 20 years as part of the explosive detector team.
Who is the explosive detector team?
That would be myself and Cirrus, my partner. He's a yellow lab. He's 4.5 years old. He's been my partner for the last year and a half. He's my best friend.
But he'd have to leave his dog in its cage to investigate the sudden jolt that knocked him to his feet. Immediately, Lim headed up the stairs of Tower 1, imploring its confused and frightened occupants to keep going the other way.
They don't know what happened, so I started yelling, "Down is good."
That's all you said, down is good.
Well, you have to remember, I'm going up the stairs. I have to preserve my energy. So I figured I have to get it out in as few words as possible.
When he reached the 27th floor, he'd heard the explosion was a plane, had been joined by New York firefighters, and stopped ever so briefly to make a cell phone call to his wife, Diane.
To tell her, let her know, listen, I think a plane crashed into the building or something, but I'm okay. I'm going up.
You're not thinking, I'm going to get out of here. You're only thinking about saving the lives of people above you?
Because they don't know. I know how this works. And people that are afraid, they'll stay in their offices, they'll go up, whatever. I don't want that to happen.
And so he kept climbing up to the 44th floor, to the sky lobby with its breathtaking views of the city from every direction. But what took Lim's breath away was watching as another jet plane crashed directly into the other tower.
It knocked me and whatever people we had left, right on our keisters, in the sky lobby. At that point, I realized we were under attack.
Now he was running down, taking as many people with him as he could. And says he felt more than heard what he now believes was the South Tower come tumbling down.
It was like an earthquake, but I didn't think about it, and I didn't even imagine it.
And still he hurried toward the ground, from 44 down to 5, where he joined firefighters from ladder 6, trying to make a stretcher for an injured woman. No time, said Lim, and they'd carried her down to the 4th floor, just 3 more to go.
And the building fell, and it fell, and it fell. So many thoughts go through your mind, and you go from, please, make it quick, to, it went right to, I'm not gonna die. I'm going to go home, I'm going to see my wife, I'm going to see my kids.
Incredibly, when it had stopped falling, David Lim, 6 other firefighters, and the injured woman, named Josephine, were still alive. buried and bruised, but alive.
104 floors of concrete managed to miss you?
Yes.
They wouldn't have long to savor the moment. The smell of jet fuel wafted in, an explosion they knew could happen at any time. And Mike, one of the firefighters, had a concussion.
Mike's, like me, an old timer, you know, and he was hurting. And all we did was we kept on talking to him, you know, to make sure he didn't fall asleep, you know, stuff like that. And we started whipping out our radios and trying to call for help.
We need volunteers for first aid.
Then, in the late afternoon, 5 hours after being trapped by the fallen tower, another sight he'll never forget.
It was Rescue Company 43. You know, I'll never forget those numbers. This is the greatest thing in the world. See those hats coming up that debris.
You knew you'd made it.
At that point, yes.
Did you think at all about the many people who likely hadn't made it?
That is all I think about. I'm sorry, but I have so many friends that are still missing. I don't sleep. I watch TV all night long. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That's all I think about.
David Lim wanted to go back to the scene to help others, but his bosses urged him to stay home, where he holds the memory of his experience and the friend he left behind.
I also grieve for my partner. My partner is serious. I know he's a dog, and of course, the priority is people. But if you come across my dog, know that he's still waiting for me in this kennel. Thank you.
2 weeks after we spoke to David,
oh, Josephine, so good to see you again.
Dateline found Josephine and the firefighters he was trapped with. A poignant reunion for the few people who lived.
Coming up next, America's first casualties in a combat-related mission.
They are heroes. They put their lives on the line on behalf of freedom and on behalf of America.
All the latest from inside the ground war. Sunday in 2 weeks. Here now is John Siegenthaler.
On Capitol Hill today, investigators announced that another building had been found to contain traces of anthrax. And halfway around the world, commandos are preparing for their next raid as the Pentagon provides details on the first assault and the first casualties linked to the land operation.
U.S. military forces conducted ground operations in addition to our air operations in support of Operation Enduring Freedom.
The very first pictures of U.S. troops fighting on the ground in Taliban territory.
U.S. forces were able to deploy, maneuver, and operate inside Afghanistan without significant interference from Taliban forces.
Today, the Pentagon releasing video of the operation. Troops preparing for battle, loading into airplanes for a flight into southern Afghanistan, parachuting towards an airfield, one of at least 2 targets hit.
We met resistance at both objectives, the airfield and the other objective. I guess you could characterize it as light. There were casualties on the other side. The exact number, we do not know yet.
Pictures of explosions and a weapons cache found at the airfield. The primary objective of these raids, according to the Pentagon, intelligence gathering. One of the sites hit last night was a residence used by Mullah Omar, the Taliban leader. Apparently, he wasn't home. The Pentagon called last night's operation successful, but that success came at a price. 2 U.S. soldiers killed when their rescue helicopter crashed in Pakistan. At least 3 other soldiers injured.
Every nation now must oppose this enemy or be in turn its target.
From China, where he is attending an economic summit, President Bush had words of sorrow and resolve after learning of yesterday's deaths.
I want to assure the loved ones that the soldiers died in a cause that is just and right, and that we will prevail.
In his weekly radio address today, the president also talked about the domestic anthrax threat, a threat that officials are still scrambling to understand.
We do know that anyone who deliberately delivers anthrax is engaged in a crime,
and an act of terror, a hateful attempt to harm innocent people and frighten our citizens.
And not long after the president's broadcast, word of more anthrax found on Capitol Hill, this time in an office building used by the House of Representatives. The source, unknown.
A sample came back from the Ford House office building mailroom as positive for anthrax.
Meanwhile, investigators today following up on those tainted letters sent to NBC's Tom Brokaw and Senate Majority Leader Tom Daschle. They concentrated on this comfortable neighborhood north of Trenton, New Jersey.
We're looking for their observations. We're looking for anything particularly unusual that perhaps can lead us to the source of the anthrax.
Markings on the two envelopes indicated they had been picked up by a letter carrier in this area last month.
Hi, friends.
And tonight in New York, a concert at Madison Square Garden to benefit the victims of the September 11th attacks. A reminder of the tragedy that sent a country into crisis and troops halfway around the globe into battle. Now let's take a look at one of the stories we're working on for Dateline Sunday.
It was a superpower race to develop lethal biological weapons that was supposed to end decades ago. But did it? What has happened to those stocks that could kill millions, and to the scientists who created them?
The probability for these people to sell such information is very high.
Tracing biological terror. The story on Dateline Sunday.
That's all for this edition of Dateline Saturday. We'll see you again for Dateline Sunday at 7, 6 Central. For Jane Pauley, Stone Phillips, and all of us at NBC News, I'm John Siegenthaler. Good night.
Dateline is a presentation of NBC News. More Americans watch NBC News than any other news organization in the world. What to do